can always record to cloud server. Everything's in the cloud now. That's where. All right. And we've got, oh, it even has a little recording cloud next to my name. Isn't that cool? There you go. A little reminder to us. All right. I think we should get started. People will be joining, I'm sure, a little bit after too, but that's okay. There are two. I'm George with the host beside me, Brian. That's I accidentally.
We're cheating.
Yeah,
we're cheating, Brian. We only have one Zoom account.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Don't tell Zoom. Don't tell Zoom. Oh no. And Steve has just joined us. Welcome, Steve. All right, everybody. Let's turn it on. Were you going to do an introduction, Mark?
Yeah, sure. I'll just do a quick introduction. Why don't you start the recording? Okay, you've already started the recording. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. So listen. So I'm Mark Beneteau. I'm CEO of WP Academy, and George is our sort of my partner and our lead instructor in our courses and our coaching. And he's a WordPress author of many books. What's your latest, George? Or what are you working on now?
I'm actually working on a book on SEO. So this is
on SEO. Okay, well, this is excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so how it's going to go? We're going to do we're going to do sort of this called do-it-yourself SEO. So we're going to actually model SEO, doing SEO of one or more websites, depending on who wants to volunteer. If you want to volunteer, just put it in the chat window, and I think we can maybe take three different people. George, is that how it works?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, so we'll try and go for 30, 40 minutes, and then we'll do a Q&A. Okay,
fantastic.
Does that work?
Does indeed. Thank you so much, Mark. Yes, welcome everyone. As Mark says, this is really about do-it-yourself SEO. One of the things that's going to come out of this, as we talk about these 4 steps to getting to page 1, you're going to be amazed, I think, at how much of this is really about you. You don't have to hire people to do this. It doesn't take a huge amount of knowledge to do this. What it takes is knowledge about your business, knowledge about your visitors, knowledge about what's important for your website, and then you can do it all yourself. And I think that's the really exciting thing to get out of this, is that for small businesses, SEO really is in your hands. So that's what we're aiming to do, is get some better search ranking for small business. Now, of course, search, the reason we're interested in this is because search is so important. This was, actually, Mark, would you mind? I'm just going to mute you there for a second. Just, there we go. Just there was some background noise there, no worries. So we can see from this graph the percentage of visitors coming to a small business website through Google in particular. Google Organic, what it says over on the left there, Google Organic, that's the search engine, Google search. And you can see here, like Facebook, other sources, very, very low in comparison. One second here. There we go. Sorry, just had to do another muting there. The idea here is that search is the #1 way that small business gets new traffic to their websites. Here's another study that I'll show you here. This one is showing, again, search at 34%. Direct is at 40%. Direct means they entered your URL without going through some other location. This was a study done of e-commerce sites in particular, and they tend to have people entering the URL directly. So that's a bit skewed that way, but search is still vastly above any other source, right? So it's really crucial that you be on those search engines, and you need to be on page 1, not just in the search engine, but on page 1, because as we know, people do not go past page 1. Even past the first 3 or 4 results, they often don't go. So you really need to rank highly in the search engines. And that's what search engine optimization is really all about, right? We're trying to improve our rankings, all right? Now, before we jump into this, we really should know a little bit about search engines, okay? How do they work? We think that's really obvious, but it's not particularly obvious in certain ways, in certain important ways, because that's going to guide us in our search engine optimization. So to give their customers the best search results, that's what search engines are in the business for. We tend to forget they're a business, right? Their goal is to give you, the visitor, great search results. That means quality results, useful, current, accurate, all those kinds of things. That's what makes quality search results. And the search engines want that, which means they want to create search results that give the best possible results. So to do that, they do three main tasks, the search engines. The first one is they have to find your web pages, all right? You can never rank if they never find your page. So they have to crawl. You hear about the word spidering or crawling through the internet. That's what their robots do. They crawl the internet to find your pages. Then, once they found it, then they index your web page. They say, it belongs to this topic and this topic and this topic. They literally read every word on your page. And they say, this belongs over here, this page belongs over here, and over here. Once they index it, and someone searches on that particular topic, then they do the third thing. They rank you. And this is really done on the fly, right? They decide at that moment who should rank where when that person does the search. So those three things are really important steps to getting you to page one. You need to make sure that you do all the right things to fulfill each of these three steps. All right. Now notice here that I didn't say they rank your website, by the way. They rank your web pages individually, one at a time. Okay. There's a little bit to do with the website, and that can have a certain kind of effect, but it's fairly minor. It's really about each individual page, and that's, again, an important thing to remember. So we know two things very important now about search engines. One, they love quality content, right? They're trying to give the best quality results, and they do everything. They find, index, and rank individual pages. All right, let's use that information to do some optimizing. But a couple caveats. Before you get started on any kind of work, stop wasting your time if you can't answer the following questions properly. Before you do any optimizing, ask yourself this: is your site design mobile friendly? All right. If it's not, then it's not going to rank well. And in fact, for mobile search, Google is really excluding any pages now in mobile search that are not mobile friendly. All right. And mobile friendly means you can look at it and read it properly on a smartphone, on a tablet, doesn't matter where. All right. And of course, you're going to rank poorly on desktop if you're not mobile friendly as well. Next one is, does your site load quickly? Google and the search engines do take this into account for rankings to some extent, but this is more about your visitors. So let's say you do all this work to get ranked highly, and then they get there and your page loads in 8-9 seconds. Well, they're not going to wait around for that. So there's really no point in doing SEO if your site's not loading quickly. By the way, quick plug for WP Academy's hosting. Mark just got a brand new server for WP Academy hosting, and it's an amazing server. One of the amazing things on it, we did a test with, Jackie's on the call here, we did a test with her site before the new server. It was loading in about 3 seconds, which isn't bad. That's okay. After the test, she loaded at 0.5 seconds, half a second. Anyway, WP Academy hosting, really good quality right now. All right, there you go. Quick plug. Is the page worth optimizing? This is another thing to keep in mind. You can have, especially the larger the site you have, there might be some pages that aren't that particularly important. Okay, they're kind of sub-pages that add more information to other pages, or they're your contact page, or there's something very simple that's either going to get ranked very easily, or you don't care whether it gets ranked. So all those things, keep those in mind before you put any work in to doing optimization. All right, number one piece of optimization you can do, and that is quality optimization. Optimizing the quality of your content. And the first rule for this optimization is keep your web pages to a single topic. All right? The way to think of it is this. You might offer faucet repairs, air conditioner repairs, furnace repairs, let's say. You've got all those things going on your website. But I only care, as a potential customer, that you do furnace repairs. So I want to get to your furnace repair page. Don't tell me about air conditioners. Don't tell me about this and that. I just want to know about furnace repairs. And that's what Google's thinking too. When it's looking and saying, is this a good page for furnace repairs? I don't know. Let's see, they're talking about 5 different things here. Keep yourself focused on each page. And this might mean, for example, when you're honestly looking at your existing site, you might look at the page and go, oh, there's maybe two potential topics being searched for this page. I'm going to split it into 2, all right? And again, this isn't science now. Now we're talking a little bit about art, because it's not clear sometimes how to break things up. That's where you have to think about your visitors. What do they need? What do they want? What are they searching for? And get your pages focused on those topics, okay? Rule number 2, when we're talking about quality optimization, write for your visitors. Make your pages as if a person's reading them. Then you go back later and you edit for the search engines, but don't write for the search engines. A couple of years ago, there was a big thing of local search. People wanted to know that you're in Oklahoma City, let's say, right? So you'd see people running around, SEO companies, people would hire companies that would actually do this. They'd write the page with Oklahoma City everywhere, all over the map, 20, 30 times on the page, and it was just horrible to read. Right? That's called writing for search engines. You don't want to do that. Only write for your visitors and do a little bit of editing. We'll talk about what that editing is in a bit. Edit later for the search engines. Okay? So your furnace repair page, that should address your customer needs, not what you think the search engines want to see. Don't think about the search engine requirements, none of that stuff. Simply make your pages for your visitors and make sure they're quality content, of course. Now, what makes quality content? Again, some of this is very obvious, but when you stop and think about it, you'll find you can really fix up a lot of your pages. For instance, is the information accurate? And I would include in that comprehensive. Have you covered all the bases for that particular topic? Is the information current, right? It might have been accurate 5 years ago. Maybe it's not so accurate now. Is it clearly written? Can we follow it? Can a person read it easily and follow? Using lists is a great way to make things easy to read and clearly written, right? Does it have helpful, like I'm doing here, right? I didn't write this as a paragraph, it's as a list. Do you have helpful tips, something that a takeaway for the person to come away with? That's really good. People love that. When you put images or videos on the page, and hopefully you are they useful? Do they do more for us than just what the text does? All right. And then finally, do you link to more details, hopefully on your own site? Remember, I talked about other pages that supplement the current page. Maybe they connect, right? So you link to them, or you link to a quality website somewhere else. That's good. Google loves that because you're helping the visitor, right? Anything that helps the visitor, that's what Google wants to see. That is what's going to give you quality content. And again, you can see all of these elements, these are totally in your control. In fact, and I've seen this before, in fact, it can be dangerous to hand this over to a third party, to another company. Especially if they don't ask you questions and really get, they don't know your business like you do. So really, a lot of this is up to you, all right? And paying attention to your visitors and their needs. All right, as you can see, a lot of SEO is really about making your web pages better for your visitors. I just finished going through this process with an organization in a city nearby us here, and they deal with condominium owners. And we did a whole audit. We audited the site. We looked at what was going on, made recommendations, went through the process of helping them to implement those recommendations. And one of the ladies on the committee said to me, well, this is really just about we're making the site better. And I said, I know, that's really what SEO is about. And it made amazing difference in their results, what they got. All right. So this is what I'm now calling the technical part of SEO. We talked about quality, and that is the most important part, right? If it's not quality, nobody's going to care when they get there, right? It's like recommending a really bad restaurant. Okay, I figured out how to get to the restaurant. I get there and it's horrible. That's not good. So quality is the crucial part. Now, this is what we're getting to, what I call the technical part of SEO. And this is kind of the part people think of when they think of SEO. In order to do this part, though, we need to do what's called keyword research. And that's probably a term you've heard, keyword. If any of you use WordPress and the Yoast SEO plugin, for example, you'll know, and we're going to see later, how keywords are important there. What is a keyword? Well, it's not a word, by the way. We just use the phrase, we use the word keyword, but we really mean a phrase, all right? Using the keyword wedding is really not going to be very useful to you. You really need wedding planner or wedding services or wedding DJ or something specific. We got to get more specific. So that's what a keyword is. And really, the keyword, remember we said the topic of a page has to be focused, one topic per page. Well, there's your keyword right there, the topic, essentially. Okay. Now, it's a little bit different than the topic, perhaps, because the keyword is not what you use. I had a client years ago, a realtor, a commercial realtor, and they always talked about commercial space, commercial real estate. Well, it turned out people were using the phrase office space when they were searching. So we redid all the pages so they talked about office space instead of commercial space. And it made a huge difference because now they were finding it in the search engine. So the keyword really has to be based on your visitors' needs and the language the visitors use, right? You may use a word in your own industry, but what do people say? What do people talk about? And that's, again, paying attention to your customers. How do they email you? What do they write in their emails? What do they say on the phone? All those sorts of things. And a keyword based on benefits resonates better with visitors. They're likely the searches they're going to be using. What benefits are they trying to get from your products or services? Okay. When you have the keyword for a page, now you're ready to do the technical optimization that I'm talking about. Okay. And that technical optimization really has two aspects to it. And this is where we're going to get to your websites here. The first part of optimization is the front end optimization. Okay. Front end is what I mean by what the visitor sees. Not the back end, which is the administrative area, the code, but the front end. What do people see in their browsers? Okay. Remember this rule, write for visitors, edit for search engines. Okay, that's that rule we talked about earlier. Well, front-end optimization is about editing the content for the search engines. Okay, and here's some ways we're going to do this. We're going to ask ourselves, is the keyword in the first sentence or paragraph? Is your keyword used fairly often throughout the page? Is the keyword near the beginning of titles? Okay, do you use clear headings? Again, all of these are things that you can look at on your page and say, am I doing that or not? Plugins like the Yoast plugin are going to help you do that too. But again, it's all doable by yourself. Do you have images? Easy thing to check. Then you go find one that's useful or helpful. Is your anchor text descriptive and relevant? Anchor text is the text you use when you're linking to something. Okay. So instead of saying click here, you say download our furnace repair checklist. All right, those are the anchor text words. Well, Google likes to see anchor text that's focused on where you're going, where you're taking the person. Again, very easy thing for you to change because it's right there in your content. This is just stuff you can do when you're writing your page. So let's go now and do this. Mark, I'll say a little bit more about keyword research. I've got a PDF for everybody. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier. The keyword research, which is a whole field in itself, keyword research is going to be in this, some links that you can use for keyword research. Again, a lot of it's about listening. Hopefully you yourself will already know what's best for the keywords, but it's nice to double check. Actually, I'll show you one quick way to double check, by the way. Let's say furnace. I just start typing into Google. Furnace, furnace repairs, furnace filter, furnace filters. And notice, by the way, it's giving me very localized stuff because I'm in Canada. It's giving me suggestions based on where I am. This is a great way to double check your keywords. Are they being searched by people? But I have a PDF, this PDF right here, and I'll give you the URL for downloading that later. And it's got a whole bunch of keyword research tools that you can use here. But let's go over here to Mike's website. And, oh, thank you so much. I see lots of people have put in their, let me try and get to a number of people then, see what we can do in our short time here. Okay, San Diego Consumers Action Network. Now, I'm not going to deal with home pages here because home pages are a little bit different. Home pages are what I call index pages. They give you or table of contents pages is probably better. It gives you a quick overview of what's in the website. So let's go instead to, here we go, SDCan projects. So let's go to a particular page. Here we go. Okay. Now this is actually almost more of an index page right now. Okay. So it really is going to very specific pages. So let me find something else here. Let's go to, whoops, there we go. Let's go to a blog piece, something about finance here. So let's go, the real story, how your tax dollars are spent. Okay, let's go have a look here. By the way, quick mention here, Michael, I would just be careful. You're kind of running the limits right now of AdSense, okay? And you've probably read about this. Google will penalize you. This is called above the fold. When you get to a page and you don't scroll yet, that's called above the fold. If Google sees there's more ads than there are content, than there is content, and this is getting dangerously close, I'd have to say. There's more ads than there is content, they start to worry about that. Okay, so I'd be inclined to remove one of these ads myself and leave it with 2. Anyway, but you've probably read a bit about that, I'm sure, and see you've got more down here, so it can be a bit tricky. Basically, they start to consider those to be spam pages when there's more advertising than there is content. Okay. Ever wonder how the money you send to the spend? So let's say your keyword here. Let's say tax dollar spending is your keyword phrase. Well, notice we've got tax dollars and spent is in the title here, so that's good. Money spent. We don't mention tax here. Okay, so here's a great example. What we would want in the first paragraph is to see the word tax dollars. Again, assuming this is your keyword phrase, okay, you would want to see tax dollars somewhere in the first sentence at least, or certainly the first paragraph, okay? And then that way, spending is already in there, the word spending. Notice that we don't have to have those keyword phrases all together So tax dollars spent doesn't have to appear all as one phrase everywhere. As long as the words are in there, Google recognizes that now. That's one of, Google's improved a lot over the years, and that's one of the ways it's improved, is you don't have to have the phrase exactly where it is. So that would be one example. Let's look up here in your URL. That's good. Tax dollars spent is in your URL, so that's good. Pardon me, that's technical. I'm sorry, that's technical. We're going to get to that later. How do we fare down here? Do we look for the word, there's taxes, tax dollars spent. We could probably use the word tax a little bit more in here. Again, assuming that's your phrase. So you go through there and look for, where am I seeing this throughout the page, okay? So that's a good example. Let me do another one here. Judy's got a site here called Step Family Coach. Let's go over here. Here's a great one. Let's go to services. This is probably, we'll see what happens, but let's go. Oh, quick thing, Judy, what you might want to do here. Notice how it looks like this is a link. In WordPress, all you have to do is there's a little number sign in the URL box. If you take that out, it'll get rid of this finger here that looks like it's pointing at a link. And then we don't think there's a link. So there's just one. Okay, jumpstart your Harmony. Okay. I was going to say, if you had a page with multiple services on it, you'd want to split each service into a separate page. But this is good. So we've got this jumpstart your path to Harmony. Okay. One of the things we'd want to figure out here is what the keyword phrase would be for this. And this might be a little tricky. What is it that you want to have it? Path to Harmony. Let me just unmute. Let me find you here, Judy. Let me unmute you, and I'll just ask you real fast. What do you think the keyword phrase would be for this? I'm just not seeing it right off the bat.
I guess it would be like reducing arguments. I'm trying to think, dispute resolution, or it would be step parents. It would be. Now
there's a great example, and you're right. So dispute resolution, but now there's a technical phrase, isn't it? That's something a psychologist would use or a counselor would use. But would a family use that? So that's a great example of, I think dispute resolution in one sense would be a good keyword phrase for this. But then we want to flip it around and think, how would families say it? And that's where your keyword research would come in.
So it'd be like reduce arguments then?
Reduce family arguments, let's say. So it's not workplace arguments. It's now the part of the reason, again, people might not put in the word reduce family arguments necessarily, but they'd probably have family and they probably have arguments, or they'd have reduce and they'd have arguments. But notice if we do reduce family arguments, we would capture sort of all three concepts. So let's go with that. I mean, so that was very quick keyword research. We would just need it for our purposes right now. But a good example, I'm glad we did that actually. So let's say it's reduce family arguments. Then we would want to see in this first one here, probably what you'd want is an intro, okay? Describing what it is we're trying to solve, the problem we're trying to solve, and how this jumpstart, because it's a service, and is that the name of the service?
Yes.
Jumpstart your path. Okay, so the goal of Jumpstart Your Path to Harmony is to reduce family arguments. Blah, 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 blah. So you work in the phrase naturally in that first paragraph, and then what we'd want to do is see the words family and arguments and reduce throughout the page here. And that's where, if I can jump for a moment over to our friend Yoast, that's what Yoast does here. So I'm going to just put in the word dog sitting services because that's what I'm using on this page. Okay. And it gives you a ranking down below here. It gives you an analysis, and it says, where is it here? Keyword density is too low. I haven't used the keyword phrase enough. Now, the problem with Yoast, and this is something to keep in mind when you're using Yoast, Yoast is very simplistic. So it looks for the complete phrase as a single phrase, dog sitting services. Now, I don't actually use dog sitting services very much except in the title, but I do use services, dog, and sitting. So I use the phrase, the words, and so that's a bit misleading. And this is where you have to, again, it's not totally science, it's a bit of art, and you have to take it with a bit of a grain of salt. The other thing people tend to do with Yoast, and I'll just give you a quick tip on this, is they try to get all greens here, but that's forcing things. You're never going to get all, if you are getting all greens, there's probably something wrong, or you've got the wrong keyword phrase. In other words, you've got an artificial keyword phrase that really isn't going to work very well. Don't worry that you're not getting all greens on this. And in fact, he'll give you an overall rating of green without having it all green. But again, it's all relative. Like if I put in the word, zebra pants here, right? If I put that in as my focus word and then I change my title to zebra pants, I'll get a green light. It doesn't mean you've got a good keyword. It simply means analytically, it's coming up in the places that we want it to come up. So again, it's not going to tell you what keyword to use. But anyway, let's go back to Jumpstart here. So you see what I mean there, Judy, where we would want to make sure that we get that phrase used all throughout there, okay?
Yes, thank you.
So that's great. Thank you so much for that. That's a big help when we have ones. I've got somebody else here. Oh, sorry, Mark, I didn't see. Where's Mark? Here we go. Sorry, yes, Mark, you had a comment. Is Mark, are you there? I thought I unmuted you. There you are, sorry. I thought it was on Mark. I unmuted the wrong Mark. That's what happened.
Oh yeah. And I just wanted to say that I love the Step Families site. I think this is a very important and wonderful service. And like if I were searching, I would have something like how to get along with my stepchildren. Yeah, I think it can be really good to to sit and brainstorm with someone else.
Yes.
And have them suggest.
Very much so, because you get that. Sometimes it's hard to see the forest for the trees, right? So if you get somebody else coming in and looking at it, that can be important. Here's a great example, by the way, Judy, where you've got this description, and not that this couldn't be here, but here's an opportunity to link to your About page rather than putting much in here about it. Although you could put, maybe there's something very specific you want to say about yourself related to this program that you're running. Then you say, for more details about me, click here to read more about me. And then what you're doing is you're creating a link, and Google likes to see links to your other content. It also shortens your page a bit too. And gives it a little more readability because you're putting the content into pieces, okay? So that kind of splitting up. Now, in this case, this is a whole unit. It's a course, or it's a program. So that makes sense. And you'd want each program to have its own page and so forth. But, I'm sure you've got other content on this site that you could link to from in here that, again, provides us with more information but doesn't crowd it all into one page. I mean, that was the great promise of the internet. HTML stands for hypertext markup. Hypertext meaning I can jump, just like in Star Trek, I can jump from one place to the next without having to have all the information in one place. So linking is our friend for sure. And I would definitely recommend here, and this is not just for Judy, but for anybody, but I can see where there'd be some website somewhere that have information about step families and relationships. American Psychology Association, I mean, who knows? A university. If you link to these high quality websites, it benefits you in the rankings, because again, you're guiding your, I had a liquor store do it. Works for everybody. I had a liquor store and they linked to a very famous wine magazine to give credence to what they were saying. So again, it's kind of like a citation, right? And that's in fact what Google PageRank was originally built for, was citation in one sense. So there we go. I'm sorry, Mark. Yes, let me unmute. There we go. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, George. For some reason, I can't go back and forth. Yeah, someone asked a question about accordion tabs that hide content on the page.
Yes. They will see that, because accordions are, and what we mean by accordion is when you click on a link, it shows you more information. In the back end, in your text, if you were to look at the code in HTML, it's actually all one big giant page. And Google reads it that way. So you're okay with that. But because it's a great way to present. That's how I do FAQs, for example. I love doing FAQs. You know, you click on the question, you see the answer. But yes, all of that content gets picked up. And by the way, somebody might be thinking of this question similarly. We have these new page builders in WordPress where you can move content around easily. Most of those are SEO friendly. Now, they've worked at it. There was a time, and some of them still are, and you really have to sort of vet each one of them. But I know Site Origin Page Builder, I know Divi Page Builder, I believe Visual Composer, I believe their material is visible. Sometimes Yoast doesn't pick up on it, but the search engines do. So, because by the time it gets to the search engine, it's put into HTML. Yoast sometimes has trouble with it because at that point it's coded in the back end of WordPress. But anyway, those are all, as you can tell, there are many, many interesting questions and many complex questions about SEO. But this is great. Let me go to another, let me find another one here. I want to get to technical SEO. So let's do that, and then we'll come back to some other places. So this was our front-end optimization, what the visitor sees. And we've got little tweaks. These are little tweaks that help Google. What it basically helps Google do is understand what your page is about, what the topic is, and that helps them understand relevance. Now we're going to go to the back end. We're going to go to the code behind what you see on the page. Now this is where a plugin like Yoast comes into play. Normally you'd have to go into the code, right, into the HTML to do a lot of this. Yoast makes it very easy for us by providing us the tools within WordPress so that we can see this. Mark, I don't know do you have a way of muting yourself and I can just leave you open? I don't know, like on your machine, if you have a way to mute.
I might, but we'll have to figure this out another time. I'm trying.
Okay, I'll just mute you for now. Then that's fine. So, what do we mean by back end? Well, is your keyword in the HTML title? The HTML title is the one that appears in your little browser tab. It's not the page title that we physically see on the screen itself, but up in the you can see it up in the tabs here. I'm just mousing over them right now. SEO email course PDF. That's your HTML title. Is the keyword in there? Is the keyword in the meta description? We'll talk about meta descriptions in a moment. In the URL, it's very helpful if it can be in the URL. None of these individually, none of these are really major, okay? But cumulatively, that's where they can help you, and especially if you're in a very competitive market. Some people, there's really not much competition and it's pretty easy to rank once you do a few of these things. Some people, you might do a lot of what I'm talking about here and you're still not ranking. That's where it might come down to the real nitty-gritty of every single place. You know, do you have descriptions for each of your images in the back end? How often does the keyword appear on the page? All that sort of thing. Is it in the URL? All of that can make a difference. Even the file names for your images can make a difference when push comes to shove, when it gets really competitive. Sorry, let me just go back here. And yes, Mark, thank you very much. Mark's going to be sort of looking at questions in the chat box right now. Now, let's go over to, we had another site up here. Let me just grab the URL. There we go. This is called criminalthinking.net. Okay, Criminal Thinking Therapy resource site. Okay, let's go and find, let's go to the resources page, let's say. Okay, so this is like an index page, which is fine. And index pages are useful. Let's go to one that's got, oh, I see. So these are all conceptualization. Let's go over here. Okay. Now, this is a very specific item with a very specific title. Let's go back, actually. I'll just find something that's a little more, let's go back to About Us. Let's just try the About Us. About criminal thinking. Okay. Let's now turn to, what I just did was I right mouse clicked and I'm going to go view page source. Okay. So now we're looking at the code. This is what we don't want to handle. We want WordPress and we want Yoast to handle this for us, but we want to understand where this is occurring. So there's that title that I talked about. Okay. About Us, criminal thinking. Now, one of the things that I would recommend doing in here under criminal thinking is, remember, it's criminal thinking, and it says it right here, criminal thinking therapy, okay? Just so that we're distinguishing, sorry, I couldn't help, because I'm a huge fan of mysteries. I couldn't help thinking criminal thinking could be something else, right? It could be how to help you think better as a criminal. So we want to make sure we're distinguishing in the search and the way people search for it, right? Criminal thinking therapy. So that word therapy being in there would be very important, okay? And it's in here. There's the meta description, so this is good. And that's a very short, there's very specific numbers for these, by the way. And Yoast helps you with this. Yoast tells you, hey, wait a minute, your description's too long. And my PDF has got a list. I'll show you in the PDF here. In my PDF, I show you the maximum number of characters, 65 for the HTML title tag. I break that all down for you. Yoast does this for you with little graphs and shows you how far you are into it. So you don't have to worry about those technical aspects of it because they're going to be taken care of for you. But I want you to see where these are. Don't worry about this meta tag called keywords. You'll often have people say, oh gosh, you got to have keywords in there. Well, that's different. This is a meta tag called keywords, and Google pays no attention to this at all anymore, okay? It's not going to hurt you if you put it in there, but it's not helping you any, okay? The problem was that people used to stuff this with irrelevant keywords, trying to get Google many, many years ago, trying to scam Google. So Google finally gave up and said, we're not paying any more attention to them. All right, so let's scroll down to here, and I just want to show you an example. Those are buttons. Okay, here's what is called the alt attribute. Sometimes people call this the alt tag, but it's actually technically an attribute. This is for the image. So we have this image on the page. Brian's image is here on the page. Now what we should do in the back end, and you can do this in WordPress because it's got a place for you to do the alt attribute, is let's put your full name in there, Brian. And identify yourself. You know, it's Brian Lobig. and the author of the website, or the webmaster for this website. Perfect. That way, Google is going to pick up on your name, for example. Let's say that becomes a search that somebody does. This, again, all of this text is being read by Google. And what you want to do with your images is be as descriptive of them as possible. Be accurate. Not just car, but green Toyota in the driveway. Right? Be very specific, because this is also being used by the visually impaired. Their reader reads it to them, and so they get a visual of green Toyota in the driveway or whatever. There you go. So that kind of thing, and let me go further down here. Oh, I thought I saw something else in there. Oh, okay. But those are examples of what I mean behind the scenes, the code that you want to edit behind the scenes, which again, if I'm in Google here, let me go over to Google for a moment. I'll just add in an image real fast here. Let's put this in. Remember here, alt text. When you're putting an image in WordPress, the alt text, that's what's going to be used by Google. Title's also helpful too. That's more for visitors when they mouse over the image, but alt text is going to be read. So those are the kinds of things you want to be watching for in Google. And then down here in Yoast, let's say, for example, I'm going to edit the meta description. Notice I don't have a meta description yet. So Google's just going to grab text wherever it finds the keyword in your text. It's going to grab that, or it's going to grab the first few words. But if I start putting in this as a we do dog sitting for all kinds of clients, including those in the metro area and abroad. I'm just making stuff up as I go along here because we have to reach our goal of a green. There we go, finally. So now we're in other words, we don't want too short a description, but we also don't want too long. And Yoast will keep track of this for you. And notice I'm seeing it in real time. This is what it's going to look like in Google, all right, when I do this. Notice now if I put dog sitting services, whoops, dog sitting services now, and I close the snippet editor, now it's going to tell me that the meta description, hang on 1 second here, I'm just going to update this because I haven't updated the page. When I update it, now it's going to give me the green light further down below here. Come on. There we go. Oh, because sorry, I changed it to zebra pants and forgot about that. Okay, dog sitting services. There we go. Now, notice what it does is it's going to highlight. Now it says the SEO title contains, length of the meta description is sufficient. I'm getting more green lights. Notice how it highlights the words here. That's exactly what our friends at Google do. They highlight those too. So that tells you you've got your keyword in there. Anyway, there we go. The functions, Michael, that you're seeing in Yoast, those are all with the out-of-the-box one, not the premium. The premium really just offers a few extras, like you can use multiple keywords for a page. Let me say briefly about keywords for a page. Google is very, very good at synonyms these days. So if I use the word outdoor furniture, Google understands that's the same as patio furniture. If I use child's doctor or children's doctor, they know it's the same as pediatrician. So you don't have to worry about, that's why I don't worry about buying the Yoast Premium, because that's one of the things that, it's not that crucial because Google's better at synonyms. And again, if you're using the different words throughout the page, that's even better. It's good for your audience too. They see the different wording. So all of that is beneficial to the visitor as well as to the search engine. Let me see if I can go through some of these questions here. Mark's already answered some of them in the chat as well. So that's good. So you can see in everything we've been talking about here, this is all material that's easily changed by you, easily thought of by you, using help with Yoast and so forth, using the checklist that I'm going to give you here. Let me give you the URL for this. You can just download it from here. I'm going to put it in the chat, okay? And yes, Mark, let me find, I've lost you. We've had lots of people come in on the call. So there you are, Mark, finally found you.
Okay, great. Thanks, George.
So this is, that's where you can download that as the checklist. And that's got all there's a lot of free keyword research tools out there. And we've got the links to them there. And then again, everything we've been talking about here, images, naming images, using bold. Lots of people overuse bold, and Google sees that as scamming. It's a type of scamming in their mind. Namely, you're trying to emphasize many, many different things, whereas really you should only be emphasizing a couple of things on a page. It gets that technical. There's over 300 things that Google looks at when it talks about ranking, when it decides how to rank a page. But most of them, the most important ones, we've covered here and are in this checklist. And the number one is quality, right? If it's not good quantity, and again, how do they measure quality? Well, one of the ways they measure it is how quickly do people leave your page? Google actually keeps track of when you're on the search results and you click on a link, Google is actually keeping track of how quickly you come back to the search results. And if it's really quick and your site has a lot of people coming back quickly from that site, Google starts to give you a little check mark in the not so good box, okay? Because it's saying, hey, if it was good quality content, people would be there longer. Again, this isn't science, it's assumptions, and sometimes those assumptions can be wrong. But Google's pretty smart these days. There's a website years ago somebody built called Mind of a 5-Year-Old, because they were saying search engines have about the education of a 5-year-old. I would say they've gotten to the age of 8 or 10 now, but because they're pretty darn smart, those guys. So yeah. The PDF is in the chat window. Oh, thanks, Mark. You put that in there.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it in again. And George, I want to make sure that we have enough time to take some questions.
Yes.
Do you need to say something about Yoast? I mean, does everyone know what Yoast is? Do you think?
Yoast is the plugin. It's called Yoast SEO, and it's the best SEO plugin. I'll just show everybody again what it looks like here. This is what it looks like on a page. It just shows up as a box at the bottom of the page. And this is where you can do all your adjusting. Don't pay attention to the readability tab. Anyway, readability is not a huge issue. As long as you're clear for your audience, I think he's dumbed down the readability thing way too much. This is the one here, keyword. And is it in your meta description here? Is it in your title? That kind of thing. And it's a free plugin. There's a premium version, but I don't know of many people who need it. Larger sites have a very different need than smaller sites. I'll show you a quick example. Let's go back here to the criminal thinking page. You'll quite often hear people say, oh, you don't have a sitemap. Google needs a sitemap. No, Google does not need a sitemap. Sitemaps are for very large sites or for people who want to control a certain way Google looks at their site. For us small businesses, we don't need it because I'll show you where we have a sitemap and it's built into every page. It's called your menu. Okay. This is a sitemap. Now, I don't know what's on Brian's site in the back end. If you've got any pages, Brian, that are important and aren't on this menu, then you need to get them on the get a drop down or something like that. all your most important pages, which for a small business is usually all of them, if they're on your navigation, you've got a sitemap. Sitemap just tells Google where to go. Boom, over here, link over here, link over there. Keywords, how many do you use on a page? That's called density, the density of how many times you use the keyword on a page. And Andre, there's no hard and fast rule for it, but Yoast, for example, will tell you keyword density is 0% right now. That's too low. Typically, we're in the 2 to 4% range. Again, the way I would look at it is when you're right for your visitor, and if it's an important phrase, you're probably going to mention the phrase a few times anyway already. Then you look at your density listing here and you go, well, I'm only getting a yellow on it. Maybe I could mention it again a couple more times, but fit it in naturally somewhere. Don't just be repeating for the sake of repeating. You're better off not to do that.
Yeah.
So,
George, let me just give a quick plug for WP Live, if I may, and then we'll continue with Q&A.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention also, I think, was it Brian that mentioned all-in-one SEO, which is another very good SEO plugin. Mm-hmm. So we'll do very similar to what to what you're seeing here. So yeah.
Yes, anything that allows you to access the meta descriptions, that's great.
Okay. So just a very, very quick plug for our WP Live service. So George actually does this every week, except that not to 25 people, but typically to 2 to 4 typically. Is that how it's been lately, George?
Yeah, that's right.
And what's more, you can ask any question. You can basically turn over your site to him. Doesn't have to be limited to SEO. You can ask WordPress design, WordPress coding questions. It's a pretty amazing service. And I actually come on also for an hour a week, although typically not in the summer. So basically, you get 2 of us on your team. It's $25 a month, and then we do have a special now. If you read your email, that we'll give you the first month for $1. And it also includes roughly $10,000 worth of premium GPL themes and plugins, including all of the WooCommerce plugins, some quite pricey ones, that handle membership subscriptions and so forth. So that's all I'm going to say for now. It's the best thing we offer aside from our hosting, right, George?
Oh, it's a tremendous opportunity to solve problems fast for yourself. And sometimes I had one person come on, I think they were on for about 5 minutes. You don't have to spend the whole time there. They just came on for 5 minutes, asked me one question, we solved it, we were done. And we're there for you. And of course, our support, you've got that as well through ticket support. So to have both, sometimes the live is handy because you can watch it and do it in real time and talk through the problem real fast. Other times, the ticket support is what you need. I'm just going to very quickly mention that I also offer this. I offer SEO audits that I do for people. So I go through the site and do what I was just doing now, but with a written report. And I do an overview of the site, and then I do 2 pages in detail going through each of them. And I find it's a very handy way for you to get a quick feel for how good your site is in terms of SEO. Again, you can do all of this yourself. By all means, using that checklist is go through it and figure it out. Sometimes people don't have the time for that. And I normally charge, this is an example of part of the report I give. I took a leaf out of Yoast's book, and I like to use the colors. I know it's not to everybody's taste, but I do like the colors as a quick, I'm on track, no, I'm not on track, blah, blah, blah. And I normally charge $150 for this, but on this call, I'm offering it for just $100 US. And that's the link that you can go to there where you can sign up for that if you're interested. And we would love to do an SEO audit for you and make the recommendations. What are the next steps? That's really the key to the audit, is what do I do next to make things better? And I tell you, I'm always stunned by how easy it is to move up in the rankings. I'm never going to promise number one on page one. Never, ever. Don't listen to anybody that promises that. If they do promise that, then they're cheating. They're gaming Google, and you're going to get blacklisted. But I can definitely see every time we've done this, people moving up in the ranks, going from 9th to 4th, let's say, going from 30th to page 1, right? Going from not even on page 3, going to page 1. And it's really a matter of focus. Getting those pages focused, getting the keywords that people are using to search with, and using those properly. And really, you'd be amazed at how stunning the results are. And I'll answer one quick question about backlinks. Backlinks are, oh, thanks, Mark, for putting that in the window there. That's the link Mark just put in for the special. And again, but if you sign up for WP Live, we can also do this stuff live. You know, if you're stuck on one aspect of SEO, we just do it right then and there. So either direction, you're going to get the help you need, which is what we're aiming for here. What I was going to say about backlinking, because everybody wants backlinks. That used to be the big buzzword in SEO. And of course, everybody started gaming Google and creating these fake backlinks. Get 150 backlinks for just $50, right? Well, of course, they were useless. Let me tell you quickly how they worked, because I had a friend of mine got caught up in this scam. She got paid $25 every time she clicked on a website. The company would send her a list of links. If they had a little automated system, they'd send her the list of links. She would click on it. She had to sit for at least a minute on that website, then click the next link, sit for a minute, click the next link. Guess what she was doing? She was faking backlinking and traffic. She was faking traffic to the website. That's what these scam artists do for SEO. There's a lot of legitimate SEO people, but guess what they're going to do? They're going to do exactly what we're seeing on this call. They're just going to go through the checklist. Do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? So again, a lot of this you can do yourself. And you're basically doing what an SEO company would be doing for you. So WordPress, one-page websites, Rick. One-page websites are possible for SEO, but they have to be coded very specially. I actually haven't experienced this, but I've read a lot about, it's called the section tag. In HTML5, there's a tag called the section tag. Now, I've heard, but I've never experienced it, I've heard that Google will read sections separately. So if you've got one section on a page that's about this topic, the next section is on a different topic, and then you do all the SEO stuff for each section, Google will read those separately from what I've heard. All right.
Okay.
Typically,
okay,
though,
George,
one-page website's got to focus anyway. So yeah.
Thanks, George. Let's just take one more question and then call it a day. People are still hanging in with us. Thank you very much. You've been a great crowd. Thanks for all your questions.
Yes,
for contributing your sites. Just a
very
question from is there a way that you will cover Optimize Press 2? I'm not very familiar with Optimize Press 2, but both George and I are, we're both quite, we're kind of specialists.
You know what's interesting about Optimize Press 2, and I'm assuming you mean the plugin, and I wouldn't go near the theme, Optimize Press theme. I don't think they maybe make it anymore. The Optimize Press plugin it's good, but you know what? Page Builder plugins do exactly the same work that Optimize Press did. Optimize Press did include graphics. Basically, Optimize Press was to build landing pages. But with a page builder like Divi Page Builder now, or Visual Composer, or Site Origin Page Builder, that's basically what they do. You can build those nice looking pages using these page builders. And then it works for everything else on your site too. So personally, I wouldn't use Optimize Press anymore. If you already use it, great. But if you're starting or thinking about it, I don't think it's worth doing, because it's just duplicating.
Yeah,
So,
I
anyway.
agree with you, George. I think it's a little obsolete, and you know, certainly the modern page builders will accomplish very similar. And
Yes.
George is an expert in page builders, by the way. Are you still writing that book about that, George?
Still trying in
Sorry.
between everything. Yeah. Don't mention the book. Don't mention. Yeah.
No disrespect intended, of course. And
No worries.
and last question, someone was asking about our hosting versus Bluehost. I won't take any more time on that. But you know, definitely if you want to open a ticket, support at wpacademy.com, or even send to me directly, Mark, MARC at wpacademy.com. You know, we'll tell you why, you know, why spending a couple more bucks for, you know, for high performance managed hosting is going to be well worth your while.
Oh, I was blown away by those numbers. They're so, the server is so fast now. It's amazing. Very cool. There you go. Well, thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thanks, Donna. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Great seeing everybody, and we'll catch up next time.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll do this again.